So I mentioned, mentioning many of the virtues and the excellencies of this companion, Muawiyah, that some of the scholars described him as the uncle of the believers, Khalul Mu'mineen. And that's because the Messenger of Allah was married to his sister. So there was an issue as to can we really describe Muawiyah with this title? And so the scholars have discussed this issue, and from them is Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and he discusses this issue in Minhaj as-Sunnah, in his book Minhaj as-Sunnah. This is a book which is a refutation of the Rafidah, of the Shia, who basically attack the companions, and from them is Muawiyah radiyallahu anhu. So here he basically explains, I won't read all of it, I'll just summarize basically what he says. So he says that we know that the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, they have the position and the status of being the mothers of the believers, right? And they are forbidden to marry. And so after this, the scholars, they differed or they disputed about the brothers of the wives of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And can we say about them that they are the uncles of the believers? Right? So the scholars differed. So some basically said, yes, we can say about one of them that he is the uncle of the believers. And so Ibn Taymiyyah says, in this case, this applies not just to Muawiyah, it applies to many. It applies to Abdurrahman and Muhammad, who are the sons of Abu Bakr. And it applies to many of the other companions as well, like the sons of Umar and others. So he basically says that some of the scholars said that we shouldn't really apply this title, uncle of the believers, to anybody. Because if we did this, then it would mean that they also would be forbidden to marry, and many other rulings would follow on from that, right? Which obviously which would not be correct. And likewise, we would also have to start saying that the mothers of the wives of the Messenger are the grandmothers of the believers, right? We'd have to start extending the ruling and going in all different directions and saying all these different things. So Ibn Taymiyyah then says that, however, those scholars who did say that Muawiyah is the uncle of the believers, they know all this, right? They don't intend to apply all of these rulings, right, to the mothers of the wives of the Messenger and to the brothers of the wives of the Messenger. But what they intended was merely to point out the fact that Muawiyah has a relationship by marriage to the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and they mentioned this alongside many other virtues and excellences of Muawiyah. For example, he was the writer of the Revelation. He wrote Revelation. He also used to ride with the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. And this is from the angle of mentioning his virtues, to mention his excellences. Just like with Ali radiallahu anhu, we know that there are some things that the Messenger said about him which are not unique to him. They apply to other people as well. But he mentioned them about him. For example, he said that I will give the flag to a man who loves Allah and His Messenger, and Allah and His Messenger love him, meaning Ali, right? Radiallahu anhu. And he also said, to Ali that are you not pleased that you should be to me like Harun was to Musa, right? So he mentioned these things, and then the scholars, whenever they wanted to defend Ali radiallahu anhu, they would deliberately mention these things as a refutation of the Khawarij, right? Because the Khawarij used to speak ill of Ali. They used to make takfir of him. So in order to defend Ali and to praise him and to mention some of his virtues, they would mention some of these things. But these things are not unique to Ali. right? Radiallahu anhu. Because Ali is not the only man who loves Allah and His Messenger and whom Allah and His Messenger love him. Right? This also applies to Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. It applies to many other companions. So it's not unique to him. And so in the same way, as Ibn Taymiyyah says, that وَمُعَاوِيَ أَيْضًا لَمَّا كَانَ لَهُ نَصِيبٌ مِنَ الصُّحْبَةِ وَالْإِتِّصَالِ بِرَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم وَصَارَ أَقْوَامٌ يَجْعَلُونَهُ كَافِرًا أَوْ فَاسِقًا, right? وَيَسْتَحِلُّونَ لَعْنَتَهُ. Likewise with Muawiyah, when he was also a companion and he had connection with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and some people came who began to declare him a disbeliever, to call him a disbeliever, and to call him a fasiq, and they used to make it lawful to curse him, right? To say, to curse him, and similar to this. So therefore, احتاج أهل العلم أن يذكروا ما له من الاتصال برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ليرعى بذلك حق المتصلين برسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم بحسب درجاتهم, to the end of what he said. So basically Ibn Taymiyyah is saying that in the same way with Ali, when people used to declare him to be a disbeliever, like the Khawarij, then the scholars would mention praises of him and certain traits and qualities that were praised, but which other people also had as well. Weren't just unique to him. And similarly with Muawiyah, because the Rafidah used to declare him to be a disbeliever and a fasiq, and used to invoke curses upon him, then they would go out of their way deliberately to mention certain qualities which are not unique to him, right? Like, he's the uncle of the believers, he wrote the Revelation, he did the first sea expedition, and many other things. But some of these things are not unique to him, right? There are other people apply to them as well. So this is something that the scholars obviously discussed, but the correct view is that we don't say Muawiyah is the uncle of the believers, or anybody else for that matter, like the sons of Abu Bakr or the sons of Abu. We don't say that they are also the uncles of the believers. We don't generally say this. But if we are in a situation where we want to mention the qualities of Muawiyah specifically to refute the Rafidah, to refute the Shia, and to refute anyone who speaks ill of him, then it is permissible in that situation to basically mention certain things which are not unique to him, but to other people as well. So it's in this context that some of the scholars in the past, they actually said that Muawiyah is the uncle of the believers, right? And this is why, when I mentioned in my talk, this is why I said the same thing as well, because it was a context of mentioning all of his excellent qualities, all of the things that were mentioned about him. Why? Because to refute the people who basically speak ill of him.